I divine Cybermancy is a flawed gem that has you step into the shoes of a powerful, demon-fighting, cybernetically enhanced super soldier monk who can utilize a range of cybernetic implants to great effect, can unleash a range of powerful psionic abilities, and generally can just tear shit up. I'll start by listing off the issues I've had with the game, and there are quite a few, but stick with it because even with its flaws, the game is well worth a playthrough in my opinion. So speaking of the issues, there's really bad audio in places. Sometimes just with things shooting at you, you just won't even hear it and you'll just drop dead, things like that, or just different weird directional audio that you just hear the same kind of sounds and you're not exactly sure where it's coming from, and there's just really bad mixing and stuff sometimes. There's just a lot of pretty bad audio. And on top of that, there are also some really horrible enemy spawns at times, and this combined with the horrible audio can make for some situations where some big thing spawns behind you and just kills you without you really hearing anything. And then you'll hear some weird audio, and yeah, just really, really bad combination. There's times where you'll be looking down a path and it looks like it's clear and you move down it and then something spawns right behind you, or, things like that. There's just a lot of that sort of crappy enemy spawns happening, and with the bad audio it really makes it for quite a big issue. And on top of that, there's also the AI instantly knowing where you are sometimes, so it's just this trifecta of just horrible design in that way, or just really rough. That whole area needs a lot of work in my opinion. There's also some balancing issues with some weapons just being really powerful for you as the player. There's a sniper rifle that can just pretty much carry you through the whole game, and the big minigun thing is also pretty damn powerful. So there are just some balancing issues in that kind of area as well. And there's a lot of times where it's just it feels like maybe some of the bigger enemies should have forced you to carry around a low ammo rocket launcher or something, instead of just having a gun that you can use against those and the normal enemies. Like this sniper rifle that can two-shot some of the really powerful airship things in the game, or 5 or 6 shot another really massive enemy in the game as well. So yeah, there's just a little bit of balancing that would need to be done, I think, to make the game a bit better. There's also a limited choice in weapons and armor, just in terms of their upgrades and appearance and stuff. And there's just, a lack of attachments and stuff, which I don't think is really necessary, but there's just not a lot of variety in the armor and stuff. There's like 3 different choices that you can kind of go for, and you can't really customize your appearance or anything, which I think could have elevated some of the RPG elements of the game a bit more. So it's just a shame that that sort of layer of customization and stuff wasn't there. The UI is quite janky in places. There's a lot of screens that just feel a bit unintuitive or a bit hard to read at first, and then you kind of do get used to it and you kind of learn where different things are and what you need to look at. But the initial impression of it is very unintuitive and quite janky. There's also some UI issues at 4K resolution. The UI doesn't seem to scale properly, so your health bar and energy bar and whatnot starts to look very odd. Also, some areas felt a little bit rushed, especially towards the end of the game, and this amplified some of the other issues that I talked about earlier, like the really bad audio and whatnot, and the enemy spawns and the instant AI instantly knowing where you are. All of that is like amplified by some of the later areas being a bit rushed. Overall, just a lot of jankiness as well is what I would say. But please bear with me on this, because with all those issues, the game is still pretty damn cool and pretty damn fun and has a lot of cool features. So now let's talk about the gameplay. Reasonably nice gunplay mechanics, passable melee combat. There's some pretty satisfying kills. There's a katana as well that like blows people up when you hit them. For some reason, it's pretty cool. There's like just some pretty cool satisfying headshots and stuff. I don't know, just all of that stuff feels pretty good. There's a range of different weapons and equipment, so even with the limited customization of those weapons and equipment, there is still enough different styles of weapon and enough, and then you've got like your light, medium, and heavy armor loadouts. So lacking in customization, but at least a wide enough range of stuff to at least choose and customize your playstyle enough. There's a lot of fun systems and elements that really make it a very satisfying FPS RPG hybrid, just in terms of gameplay. So you have stats which you can increase every time you level up. You'll get 3 stat points that you can spend, so you can quickly start to mold your character to suit the playstyle you're kind of going for. So you might be someone that just gets a ton of endurance because you want to use a lot of cybernetic implants and a lot of psionic abilities, or you might be someone that focuses on like accuracy and agility like I did, so you can move pretty quick and you can shoot your guns fairly accurately. After certain thresholds, the stat increased, the cost to kind of increase your stats does go up from like 1 point to 2 and then eventually 3. So you do become more and more, you have to choose whether you sort of want to specialize or if you want to just be a bit more of a generalist, because specializing obviously is going to cost more and more stat points. You can also augment your character and alter or enhance your playstyle by using cybernetic implants that you can buy from the medical wing in the Temple HQ. The Temple HQ is basically just like the base of operations of the faction that you're a part of. You can also spend money to then upgrade your cybertech. The cybertech is sort of your other cybernetic elements of your character, and you start with these, but your cybertech can enhance your stats and some of your abilities, and it can also kind of further enhance the implants that you've installed. Often it'll be things like reducing the energy cost of using those implants. You can also find briefcases on enemies during missions, which will unlock a variety of researches that you can then invest time and currency in to unlock some weapons and abilities for purchase at the Temple HQ, and some of those researches will also improve your stats. There's also a number of different psionic abilities. You can purchase some of these from an NPC in the archives at the Temple HQ, and then there are some rare, powerful gate powers that you can unlock during the story with a limit of 1 gate unlock per playthrough. The psi abilities are fairly limited in scope, but are an extra layer of just cool stuff to play with, and usually they're pretty powerful. You can access your cybernetic and psionic powers from the action or quick action menu, and it's here that you can also find your hacking ability, which you can use to hack various enemies and devices. You can use it to open doors, steal money from ATMs, make enemies fight for you, or even just destroy things. The hacking minigame in UI is a bit unintuitive at first, but sort of alright once you get the hang of it. There's also multiplayer PvP and co-op. I haven't played PvP, but I did have fun with the co-op. It was a pretty good time playing through the campaign with a buddy. So that's kind of the gameplay side of stuff, but I did also want to talk about the factions and the world a little bit, and just the story and side missions and stuff a little bit as well. I won't go into too much detail about the story and whatnot, but yeah, the world and the factions are pretty awesome, so I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit. So E.Y.E, which is the faction that you're a part of, is a secretive elite kind of army of these psionic powered cybernetic warrior monks, and they're kind of ruled over by an ancient secret society that are known as the Secretorum. So E.Y.E is then split into two groups, which are the Cult of Day and the Jianshang Di, and the two groups are kind of in a bit of a secret war because they have slightly different ideals and stuff. They have different ideals about things, and so then they're kind of like in this internal struggle for ultimate control of the E.Y.E faction. But the tensions between them have kind of recently eased off because they're busy fighting their external enemy, which is the Federation. And while there are still some in E.Y.E that, even while this conflict with the Federation is going on, there are still some that want to seize control, but then there are also those that kind of want peace between the two internal factions, the Cult of Day and the Jianshang. So the Federation is basically this governmental regime that just rules over all the human populated worlds with an iron fist kind of style. Their forces include like corrupt police officers that are wearing trench coats and helmets, and then there's kind of the more lethal branch, which are just heavily armored soldiers, and then later in the game they'll even start sending some alien looking robots after you and even attack you with these interceptors, which are basically big heavily armored and armed gunships that are also highly mobile. They're air forces basically. There are also looters, and that faction is usually kind of hostile to most of the other factions, but they especially hate the Federation, and you'll kind of often find them in the maps just kind of lurking on the fringes of the overall conflict. And another layer to the conflict between all these factions is the Metastromonic Force, which shares some similarities to the Warp from Warhammer 40k, and you kind of see various forms of Metastromonic Force creatures appearing and attacking the player and the other factions. So this force also kind of sends some characters mad, and it allows others, including the player, to utilize some powerful psionic abilities. So yeah, that kind of dynamic between all these factions is really, really cool. And yeah, it's fairly limited in what you actually interact with faction-wise, but just seeing all these factions and kind of understanding a bit about the different factions and what's going on with each of them definitely is kind of cool. And the setting is kind of cool as well, like the maps and whatnot. There's some pretty cool locations. And there's definitely a bit of a cyberpunky influence on some of them, and then some of them are like more ancient kind of ruins and stuff. So the world is definitely pretty cool. Speaking of 40k, the influence of that franchise can definitely be seen in a few places in E.Y.E, and in some of the overall design choices, which I think works quite well for this game. Some of the naming conventions, architecture choices, and just the general scale of things definitely reminds me of 40k. And there is also, of course, the Immortal King. So that's a bit about the factions and the conflict. I did also want to talk briefly about the story and side missions, so I won't go into too much detail, but the story has you kind of performing missions that take you through parts of the factional conflicts, and you can kind of choose different branches to follow, depending on some of your interactions with some NPCs, and then these can lead you to a few different game endings. And then there's also some stuff involving an ancient artifact and a little bit of time looping strangeness that kind of sets you up for multiple playthroughs. If you do want to break from the story, there's also side missions which you can do, and you can choose a map or have the game choose one at random for you, and then it generates an objective for you to complete on that map. And you can unlock more maps to do side missions on by playing more of the campaign. E.Y.E Divine Cybermancy is a flawed gem. It has a lot of issues, but also a lot of really interesting features, and even when those features are served up with a side of jank, there's still a lot of fun to be had with this game. So if you've got a spare $15 and you're looking for something a bit different to play and don't mind a bit of jank, then I can definitely recommend E.Y.E Divine Cybermancy. That is it for this one. Let me know what you think of E.Y.E down in the comments. Thank you to the legends supporting me on Patreon, and thank you for watching. Have a good day or night, whichever it may be, and I'll see you in the next video.